I'm Elizabeth Allen Hodge here at the Capitol Annex steps for Legislative Watch at what is being called another Boise Tea Party. The House is going to convene today and the program is just about to start.
Okay. Executive Director of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Wayne Hoffman.
Well, thank you so much. Following Lenore is a hard act, but I'll give it a shot anyhow. You know, I just got back from L.A., and you would think in California, I got to tell you, I was just at a meeting with other people who believe in freedom and liberty, and even folks from other countries, third world countries, who would be arrested to be doing what you're doing here today. My goodness, liberty and freedom are in vogue again. You're in part of it. It's really cool. It's really cool to be here with all of you and to be able to have this opportunity to speak out against higher taxes. Let me tell you something. The folks who are complaining about the fact this session is going on 113 days, forget it. This is how government's supposed to work. How many of you want government to be able to raise taxes in 60 days? That's right. So go on 120 days, go on 140 days, doesn't matter. Lower taxes is what it's all about, folks. Yes. That's what's most important, is keeping that tax burden low. Now, there's not a person here among us who wants to see our roads fall in disrepair, who wants to see bridges fall down. No one here wants that to happen. Every one of us wants good infrastructure. We want quality roads. We want good bridges. We just happen to think you can do it without raising taxes. I think every one of us is committed, after this legislative session is over, and after all these lawmakers go home, to finding solutions to our infrastructure problems without raising taxes. All of us are committed to that. There are other ways. We constantly look for other alternatives. I should take that back. We constantly find one way to fix things, and that's to raise taxes and grow government. There are other ways to do it. Good. All we have to do is sit down around a table and figure out what those solutions are. Make government smaller. Maybe we'll find the money to pay for our roads and infrastructure. That's what we should be doing first. And we're all committed to seeing that happen. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here to support liberty and freedom today.
Senator Monty Pierce.
You know, thank you for that. I think that many of you are feeling like you'd like to throw rocks in the Senate right now, and there's more than myself to support your cause and what you're doing, and I want you to know that it is a battle, and it's an ongoing battle that we're going to fight from here on, and we need people in that battle, and I'm so grateful to see you here. You back up what we believe, and you know, there's thousands and thousands, 100,000 out there that have not taken the time to come down and support, and so I thank you from the bottom of my heart that you're here and have taken this time to render the support. I wish the lawn was full, like it was the last time. You know, are you happy with nationalizing our businesses?
No. Absolutely not.
Are you happy with the lack of sovereignty of the state of Idaho?
No.
Are you happy with government spending and bailouts?
No.
Are you happy with the ignoring of our Constitution?
No.
How about the removal of God out of our schools and off our money?
No.
How about global or one world government?
No.
You know, we have a lot of issues. A lot of issues that are important to us. And this is only one of the small ones, but it's an important one. And it's important that we draw a line in the sand and say, this is where we're going to stand. You know, there's a story I love that touches my heart, and I want to just share it with you quickly. In the Revolutionary War in the South, there was a man named Francis Marion, sometimes known as a swamp fox. And in that battles, he was very decisive because he would hit quick and disappear in the swamps. They couldn't find him. They captured some British soldiers. And then they set up an exchange of prisoners and brought the British officer in to do that. When they got done making their deal, he said, why don't you come to dinner with us? And the British officer said, I'd love to. They walk at this shack, and here's a pine log with baked potatoes laid out on it. And the officer says, "That's all you have to eat?" And he says, "That's all we eat." In fact, he says, "We're kind of fortunate today because we have company, so we're going to need a few more of them than we normally eat." And the man shook his head and said, "Well, you must pay your men well in order to carry on this action you carry on." And he said, "No, none of us have ever received a single dollar." And he said, "Well, why are you fighting like this?" And he said, "For the love of liberty." And all the issues we've talked about, that's what we're back to. In fact, to carry the story one step further, that British officer went back and said, he resigned his position and said, "I don't want to fight men who fight with the motives that these men fight with and for." I want to make a few suggestions to you, the group. You are the people that can influence history and influence the history of the state of Idaho. And so I want to put a burden on you. I want to first challenge you, every one of you, to go in that building and find your legislator and meet them. Be very pleasant, be very gracious, be the class act that you are. You're a very polite crowd, and I appreciate that. But you be, and you let them know who you are, and so they know you on a first-name basis. You'll begin to have influence then, because when you write them or call them, they'll know who you are. You know, get involved in your party. I don't care what party you belong to. Get involved in it. Go to the meetings. Go to the committee meetings. Get away from that television and from the selfish things we sometimes do in our lives, and take that time and get involved in our local parties, in our precinct meetings, our committee meetings. Support the candidates that you believe in with time and money. Put a little skin in the game. Go out and walk the streets and roads. Learn correct principles of government. You know our society does not understand the great Constitution that we were blessed with as a nation, so I'd encourage you to do that. And then contact your friends, your neighbors, your family, and say, "You guys, I just discovered this about the Constitution," or this or that, and share with them and get that word out so they might do it. And you know the last thing, and I'm going to say this, go to church or make a study of your life. This quote backs up what I say here. The Republican form of government is the highest form of government because of this. It requires the highest type of human nature. We need to improve our nature, folks, so we retain the freedom, the love of liberty that has made us the great nation, the Christian nation that has influenced world history like no other nation ever has. We need to return to that standard. Thank you.
Representative Raul Labrador.
Good afternoon. How many of you want me to raise your taxes? The governor asked the people a week ago to call the legislature. And since last week, we have received 5-to-1 emails against raising taxes. In the last 4 days, since the Idaho House of Representatives decided to adjourn, we have received 15-to-1 emails against raising taxes. So what part of no does the governor and the Senate not understand? It's never a good time to raise taxes, but particularly in this economy, it is the worst possible time for us to be raising taxes. We have the worst economy in a generation. We have high unemployment. Families are struggling just to barely put food on the table. We have cut education in the legislature, and we have cut other services. And yet we're being asked again and again to raise our taxes for transportation. If we're being asked that, we would assume that there's no money being given to transportation this year. Is that true? No. Are we giving no money to transportation? No. How much money is being given to transportation this year?
$1 billion.
More than $1 billion. Today, we have available over $1.1 billion for transportation. As we have cut education, we have cut health and welfare, and we have cut all the other programs. Enough is enough. I'm going to give you a list of what's available to us this year. For fiscal year 2010, we have $508 million in agency appropriations for the Department of Transportation. That's close to $8 million more than last year.